Welcome to the Luke Macias Show. The very first obvious Democrat deal was cut in the Texas House of Representatives, and Texans for Fiscal Responsibility caught it, and we are going to talk about just how bad it is today. Let's get to the show. Before we dive into this incredibly bad deal for Texas taxpayers, it is just an obviously corrupt situation that needs to be discussed and exposed and hopefully dealt with and reformed this session. And I do believe that we still have time to fix the deal that was cut. I will tell y'all before we start, though, that Senator Cory Booker, who's not a Texan, he's from New Jersey, but he recently broke the record for filibustering the longest. He broke the 24-hour and 18-minute filibuster that was set in 1957. So Cory Booker filibustered for longer than that. ABC News broke that yesterday. But a little known fact, the Twitter handle at TXCapHistory is one that I appreciate because they will share different cool historical facts about Texas. But they shared that the longest filibuster in U.S. history belongs to the Texas Senator Bill Macias. So Cory Booker's got nothing on this Texas senator from Fort Worth who filibustered for 43 hours starting on May 2nd, 1977, against Senator Ray Farabee's bill amending the Open Records Act. Now, here's the truth. I have not had time to look up whether Bill Macias was on the side trying to close government to the public or whether he was against the bill amending the Open Records Act because in its current state, it was more open to the citizens. So I don't know whether this guy is a villain or a hero. What I do know is that Texans are better than everyone else at almost everything, and Texas Senator Bill Macias seems to not be an exception to that rule. He stood up on May 2nd, hopefully for the right thing, but he did it longer than anybody else has ever been able to do it for 43 hours. I cannot imagine. I wish we had a little bit more details there, but I don't have details for that because we're in the middle of a legislative session. A lot of stuff's happening, and you need to know about what's happening down at the Texas Capitol. Now, over the last week, a lot has not changed. The Texas House had 2 days of passing bills today and yesterday. They could have had 4 days. They could have had 5 days of passing legislation, but they didn't. They opted for 2. And again, all of that is kind of designed to make sure that more things back up at the end. Now, could they still pass all the conservative Republican policy? Yes. Are they making it harder on themselves this week based on the actions that leadership has decided to take? Yes. But one of the things that Texans for Fiscal Responsibility wrote about is a deal that was cut between seemingly Representative Rafael Anchia, a Democrat from Dallas, and Representative Cecil Bell. Now, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of context for this. Last session, Paul Bettencourt and Gary Gates worked to pass PFC reform, and PFC are these vehicles that have been used to get a housing authority to give a developer a 99-year property tax break on their property. Okay? So you literally say your grandkids can own this apartment and they will not pay property taxes on it. Everybody else around you, they're paying property taxes. You're not. So you might say, well, what do you got to do to get this good deal? Well, that was the problem. You didn't really have to do anything. They do it under the guise of affordable housing, which is a cool term that people like. And so what they say is, hey, take our property taxes off. That way we can offer more affordable housing options. But the truth is, they don't actually have to prove at any point that they are lowering their rent. They can charge the exact amount for rent as the apartment across the street that's paying its property taxes. And they just get to pocket the extra. So what the Texas House decided to do last session was virtually end PFCs. So the vehicle that is left are called HFCs, Housing Finance corporations, housing finance corporations. And bear with me because this is actually a really important story once you know a few of the details, which will take me maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes to flesh out. You have to understand that a bunch of developers figured out that you could get these deals and you can actually like pay the housing government entity, and you can like give them some of the money that you're saving from property taxes. So it's an easy way to make a win-win. And there's something to between 10 and $20 billion of property that has been taken off the tax rolls that have no property taxes for the next 99 years. And you know what they get to do? They just get to charge people whatever they want for rent and pocket whatever extra money they get, while all the other apartments in the area are paying property taxes. So this is ridiculous. Well, the one vehicle that remains are housing finance corporations. Okay. And so Representative Gary Gates filed a bill this session, House Bill 21, to deal with this issue. And he and Paul Betancourt have worked on this issue for quite some time. He had a hearing on this bill several weeks ago. But another bill was filed to address the housing finance corporations, and it was filed by Democrat Rafael Anchia. And you might say, why does a Democrat from Dallas want to deal with the housing finance corporations? Well, actually, a lot of Democrats do. Because if you look at the votes that happened last session, the vast majority, there was a huge chunk of Democrat lawmakers, basically the ones that aren't kind of in the hip pocket of leadership, that voted to get rid entirely of PFCs. And the reason Democrats don't like it is because these guys are saying that they're providing affordable housing for Texans, which Democrats really like. They like Section 8 homes. They like anything that's more affordable. And so these people they know are just getting the deal and then pocketing the money. So even Democrat lawmakers generally opposed to that. So you could think that maybe Rafael Anchia has filed this bill to actually deal with the crisis of these corrupt developers putting these deals together and getting no property taxes and pocketing all the money while everybody around him pays property taxes, including you. But Rafael Anchia works for an investment company. And that investment company says, it's actually really funny. Civitas, I think that's how you say this name. The Civitas Capital Group. Here's what they say. They openly boast about their ability to uncover opportunities that others miss, often involving public-private partnerships and regulatory arbitrage. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like we've got a lot of connections with people in the government, including one of the state representatives that works for us, where we can kind of find good deals. And you know what that's led to? That's led to the Civitas Group owning over $100 million of apartments that aren't paying property taxes for 99 years. That's what it's led to. So Rafael Anchia files a bill, and he wants to get rid of traveling HFCs. Traveling HFCs. You might ask what that is. A traveling HFC means you actually get your HFC approved by a housing, some housing authority in a different county, but then you go buy on one side of Texas and you go buy an apartment on the other side of Texas. Now, people like Rafael Anchia and a lot of the developers who are doing these corrupt deals don't like it because it provides more competition for them. So they want you to be able to get these corrupt deals and then buy in that county that you get the deal in, I guess. So he files a bill that says, let's get rid of the worst offenders. You'll often hear this. This is how they keep a lot of the corruption going in Austin. They'll file bills to get rid of the quote unquote worst offenders in order to keep the vast majority of the corrupt deals going. But Rafael Anchia's problem is that he's a Democrat, and he also clearly has a conflict of interest. So on the second to last day of bill filing, Chairman Cecil Bell filed an identical bill to Rafael Anchia's. Identical. Files a bill, which then gets referred to Cecil Bell's committee. couple days later, or a week later, but very quickly compared to most bills because it was given a lower bill number. And the Speaker's office will reserve these lower bill numbers so that chairmen can file bills and then get them referred quickly, and they're not HB 5000. And then it's heard and voted out of committee. There are 3 Republicans that voted against this bill: Terry Leo Wilson, Shelley Luther, and David Lowe. And what this bill does is says, hey, the vast majority of these corrupt deals that are going on that Republicans oppose, that Democrats oppose, the only people that support them are the people that are making money on them. The vast majority of them should continue as they are. Senator Paul Betancourt, Representative Gary Gates, a lot of other people have worked for a long time to try to end this practice. And I want to be clear, I know a lot of you who listen and watch this show were frustrated that Representative Gary Gates voted for Dustin Burrows for Speaker, right? So when I'm talking to you about these various people, Cecil Bell is somebody who actually supported the Republican nominee until the day of the vote. And then he came out the morning of and said, actually, I've decided that my commitment to the Republican process is not really a commitment, and I'm going to go vote with Dustin Burrows and the Democrats. And as a result of that decision, he's awarded this chairmanship, and he has the authority to decide whether all these deals stay or whether they go, or he thinks he has to some extent the authority to decide. So here's what's happening in the Texas Capitol. A Republican chairman and a Democrat, and he's like, I think Macias a permanent subcommittee chair. He's getting a bunch of also extra money for his positions of power that Dustin Burrows has given him. They get together and Macias like, you got to carry this bill because I'm kind of got conflict of interest. But we've got to make sure that these HFCs stay in business and everyone keeps making all the money they're making. Cecil Bell takes his bill, puts it forward like it's his own, and gets it out. And the bill's design is to keep 95% of these deals going. And this is the same battle that happened 2 years ago on the floor when J.C. Jatan did the same thing and tried to pass a PFC reform bill that kept all the PFCs in business. And a massive Democrat and Republican coalition got together on the floor to completely change his bill and make it a good, strong bill that would get rid of this corrupt practice. Democrats do it because they actually think people who are getting government support to provide affordable housing should provide affordable housing. That makes sense. And Republicans are largely against these corrupt deals because every one of you are telling your state representative that you're getting taxed out of your home. And they're probably not going to deliver more than $6 billion in total property tax relief, which is microscopic compared to last session. And they walked in with a $26 billion surplus. But you know what they do have time to do? Make sure that every year, another $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 billion of property gets completely wiped from the tax rolls for 99 years. Do you have a way to get your property taxes wiped off the tax roll for 99 years? No. Do I? No. I was telling one friend about this situation, and he said, hey, you have any friends at a housing authority? I need to go get my home wiped. Well, what do I got to do to be an HFC? I'll sell my home to an HFC if I don't have to pay property taxes for 99 years. Why is Cecil Bell doing this? I can't answer that question. What I can tell you is that last session, when the PFC debate happened, Rafael Anchia got an excused absence right before the debate happened. So he was there like the bill before or the bill before that. He's voting. And then during the HFC debate, he's nowhere, or the PFC debate last session, he's nowhere on the floor. And then I can tell you that Cecil Bell, when 100 of his colleagues were voting to make these PFC deals go away, he was voting with this small group of 40 Republicans and Democrats. It was basically the hardcore leadership people. And Cecil Bell was right there with them, voting to try to keep all this corruption legal. So now that he's in this position, I don't know what his tie is to all these deals. I don't know if there is. I don't know if he just really likes developers getting 99-year tax breaks. But it's a really bad deal for taxpayers. It's a really bad deal for taxpayers. HB 1585. It's the exact same bill Rafael and Chia filed. Now, I think he did a committee substitute, so he did change some words after he introduced the bill. But it doesn't substantively change the bill. The bill didn't go from being this bill that still keeps the vast majority of these corrupt deals in place to a bill that does away with them. And it is just one example of how Republicans act when they see their power as tied to this uniting coalition with Democrats. And like I said, a lot of Democrats don't like HFCs and PFCs. But you see that the Democrats that are close to leadership feel like they have to back them and like them, because whatever group is in leadership has decided that these things have to stay in place. When you have a Democrat state representative who is working for a capital group that has figured out how to get between $100 and $200 million of apartments taken off the property tax rolls for 99 years, and then that Democrat lawmaker is working with a Republican chairman to make sure that these deals can continue, something's gone pretty terribly wrong. And property taxpayers all across Texas should be rightfully enraged that this is happening. So that is it. That bill has gone out of committee. 3 Republicans voted against it. And it will maybe get through calendars. Maybe they'll decide to push it. Or maybe Texas House leadership will decide to, actually try to get rid of these, like the House did with PFCs last session. The Texas House got rid of PFCs last session and is like 20 votes more conservative this session. So why is this even a discussion? It's very unfortunate that Representative Bell decided to team up with Representative Anchia in this way. But the reason I want to break it down for you like that is because facts matter. And because each of these deals that get cut, I'm not going to be able to talk to you about all the deals. I will not have enough time to talk to you about every single deal that gets cut. But I did want to bring this one to you so that you kind of saw an example of what it looks like. Republicans need to act like Republicans. And we'll talk a little bit more about that after this quick break.
America is at a crossroads. Now, more than ever, Texas must step up and lead the country. We don't have time to mess around. The only way to save America is with a strong Texas. You and I know this, but so do the enemies of life and liberty. Therefore, you and I have no choice but to stand up and fight. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, and to the enemies of liberty, I say, come and take it.
If you missed the news, Democrats won a Supreme Court seat in the state of Wisconsin. And with that victory, they now have the ability to redraw their congressional maps. And they're going to do it. They were given just a little bit of power, just enough power to redraw the maps. And they're going to do it to add 2 Democrat congressional seats out of the state of Wisconsin. That's what they're going to do. 2 seats they're going to add out of the state of Wisconsin. This week, it was announced that Tarrant County is going to be redistricting their county commissioner court precincts. They have 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats and 1 Republican county judge. And I've said this before, but Tim O'Hare is probably the best county judge in the state of Texas. And what they are doing with their majority is that they will redistrict. And at the end of this redistricting, everyone will expect there to be 3 Republican county commission seats and 1 Democrat seat. And that is what Republicans should do when they are in power. RNC committeeman Robin Armstrong spent the last several months asking people in Texas to please redistrict our Texas congressional seats to add another 1 or 2 Republican seats, which we have the votes to do. We have the votes to add more Republican numbers to the Republican majority in Congress. And there's no bill to do it. Neither chamber's moving. The governor hasn't taken a position on this. And I'm telling you that we have to remember that every time Democrats have power, they use their power to advance their goals. This is what people like Cecil Bell should remember. That when you have the authority to ensure that property taxpayers are respected and that people getting these corrupt handouts are put in check, do the right thing. Use the authority you've been given by Speaker Burrows to do the right thing. Things are still moving quite slow in the Texas House, but there is still time to get a lot of conservative policy done. So I hope that you are doing something. And I've said this before, but if you're not engaged with a conservative group that is focused on your issue, you need to get engaged. Texas gun rights, Texans for fiscal responsibility, Texans for vaccine choice, protecting Texas children, Texas values. Grassroots America, we the people, are sending out regular updates on different bills that you need to take action on. Texans United for Reform and Freedom, TURF with Terry Hall. All of these organizations are in the Capitol working, and they'll tell you this bill's moving, this bill needs pushing, this needs pressure. Do you have a state representative on this committee? And you can take action and make calls and send emails and show up to the Capitol. They're doing Capitol Days. True Texas Project did a Bring Your Kid to the Capitol. I think last week. It was they had a picture, they had like 100 people there with all these kids in the Capitol, probably for the first time ever, participating in the process, trying to push and advance conservative ideas. So don't check out. There's a ton of conservatives out here that are just checked out. We're going to lose. Everything's horrible. We can't get anything done. No, we can. We can get a lot of conservative stuff done. And we've still got a couple months to do it. The time to complain about the lack of conservative results is after the session is done, if they kill all the bills. The time to fight for the conservative results you want is right now. So get to work. May God bless you, and may God bless Texas.
Be sure to subscribe to Texas Scorecard on YouTube and click that bell to ensure you're a real Texan. If you liked this video and want to see more citizen-driven journalism, be sure to click like and go to TexasScorecard.com to read about all things Texas. Texas Scorecard, real news for real Texans.